Alrighty, guys. Thanks for tuning in to episode 25 of the No Fire podcast. Today's going to get a little personal, so if you don't like listening to people talk about their finances or their true feelings or their intentions, then go ahead and swipe off of the video because it's about to get deep today. So I didn't write anything down in preparation for this podcast. So there's been something that we've been meaning to sit down and talk about, and it's our future. What we're going to do financially, what goals we want to set. So we're going to use this time to do that.
Okay.
Nobody listens to it anyways, so this is just a good way for us to document our feelings in the moment and what we want to manifest and what goals we want to set. So I figured we could do that now.
All right.
So I think the first obstacle or idea that we had was we want to buy a house. And I don't think that we don't want to buy a house. I think we do want to buy a house. I think that is ultimately a goal of ours.
Yes.
But we need to figure out whether that's something we want to do in the immediate future, that's something we want to push off for a little while, it's something that we need to look into more. So we need to figure out what we want to do. So obviously, if we don't buy a house, I don't think it's responsible of us to spend the money that we have saved for a house. Obviously, that's the immediately feeling that I get. It's like, oh, we're not buying a house now, so now we have this money that we can just spend on whatever, but that's not realistic. We don't want to spend that money. That's money that we worked hard to save.
Yeah.
So we have to figure out, and maybe we can crunch some numbers, but what I've been thinking about is maybe we both need to go into Suncoast together and talk to somebody about mortgages and see what we qualify for, just so we can get an idea. I mean, we don't have to specifically go with Suncoast or go with Achieva, one of our credit unions for mortgages, but I think that would give us a good idea of what we can actually qualify for, so we can wrap our head around a number, because we look at these houses and maybe those houses that we're looking at are completely out of the budget, or maybe we're looking at houses that are in our budget and we're closing ourselves in. We don't know the numbers.
No, but I'm sure we have an idea.
So I think in order to cross a house being off the immediate future would be to first get more information. So do some research, go into a bank, or maybe there's something online that could tell us, or get an idea of what we can actually afford.
Yeah.
And find out the benefits of qualifying together or separately. Figure out if I even qualify with my current work history, whether I need to be at a place for a certain amount of time before I can qualify. So I think that would be the most responsible idea.
Yeah.
But what are your feelings on the situation? What do you want to do in the next 18 months?
I don't know. I mean, realistically, in 18 months, we're going to have to be moved out of this house. And we're probably, I don't know. I guess we got to figure out the finance aspect first.
Yeah. So what's the finance aspect in your head? Figuring out how much money we need to save?
No, I mean, I guess, but more so what we can get approved for.
Okay.
If we can buy a house. But I kind of think it's a waste of time right now.
Okay. Because things are expensive and interest rates and everything. I work enough. I'm tired. I don't want to work more. I know.
I don't want more bills.
I know.
Yeah, like I said, I don't want to take on more bills. I feel like this is the most I've ever paid in bills. I mean, I don't have a car payment right now, and I don't think I'm going to get a car anytime soon, honestly. I mean, I want to. I don't want to take on the financial responsibility, especially if we're still in limbo trying to figure out if we're going to buy or rent, even though I do feel like we're more likely going to rent than we are to buy, because we both don't want more bills.
I think, yeah, the biggest thing that I'm afraid of if we do buy a house is like, we have enough money saved. We both have enough money that we can, get new furniture, whatever we need to do, like the little things on the house. Obviously, big things still scare me. Like, if we were to have, need a new roof, or windows are very expensive. Yeah. So things like that definitely still scare me. But say we get an inspection, the house looks good, it doesn't need anything immediately, like we'll be able to cover all those expenses and still be able to put a good amount down on the house. The thing that scares me the most is putting ourselves in a scenario where we're paying so much in a mortgage and in taxes and everything that will be included in our monthly payment, that we feel like we have to stay working the same amount at our jobs more, that we don't want to ultimately be at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, I'm at 40 hours. I don't have any more hours to work, and I don't know. The idea of spending more than we're spending right now, and I know that you tell me not to add our savings into what we pay in rent, and I'm just thinking about how much is coming out of my bank account every month in the grand scheme of things when it comes to, yes, our savings, and yes, the rent, because realistically, even if we do buy or when we do buy, it's we're still going to have to put money away. So it's still going to have to be more than we're spending right now.
Correct.
Which is the most money we've ever spent to live.
Right.
So I just don't know if it's going to be realistic right now. Like, I mean, I think that we could do it. I just, like you said, are we going to be able to do that and then just be struggling? Well, not even struggling, just like,
yeah, we'll be able to make it by, but then I feel like that kind of, it puts us in a position where we don't have the option to try something else out. Like, say something came along where you could do something that was your passion for a living, but you didn't make as much money, you wouldn't necessarily have that option.
Yeah. You would have to work more.
Yeah.
There would be no, like, and now I think about it all the time. Like, that's perfect example. I would love to do something that, like, I actually enjoy. Not that I hate hospitality. I just hate how people are. And maybe it's just specifically in the rest. I feel like I deal with assholes like everywhere I go. When we go to the grocery store, when we go to Sam's Club, we're always running into people who are just ignorant. That's the best way to put it, is that they're just ignorant. And I'm not saying that another job wouldn't have that. I just feel like I would have it less.
Yeah.
Like, they're almost every shift that I work, like, somebody is saying something that is very, like, ignorant or just inconsiderate or mean. Like, people say shit all the time, and, like, obviously I've been in the industry long enough that I brush most of it off. Like, a lot of it I disregard, but, like, some days the shit eats at me and I think about doing something that I would love, which is not this job, and it would realistically be making less money.
I think my biggest thing with work isn't necessarily, like, the day-to-day of, like, dealing with shitty people. Obviously that sucks. So obviously people bother me at work, but ultimately what I'm looking for out of a job is to feel a sense of accomplishment on a daily basis, to make me feel fulfilled in some way, and I don't get that. And I would prefer to do something else, and I just have this feeling that if we were to buy a house, that maybe that road would be closed off. And it's almost the same scenario as thinking of, like, if we had kids now, then it kind of closes off the options to figure out what we're truly meant to do.
Yeah.
Or what truly makes us happy. The idea of buying a house is awesome. I love the idea of being able to do whatever we want to a home.
Yeah, I do like that idea.
And I think I feel the same way about owning a home than I do about having kids. Like, it's always something that I've dreamt of doing, and it's still something like deep down I feel like I want. But at the same time, I'm scared to give up the freedom, because I feel like that is something that's very high on my list of things that are important to me.
But is that because, like, I mean, sometimes I feel like that too. Like, I think about the idea of like giving up our freedom. Like, I know we have dogs, but like realistically, I feel like kids would like slow us down a bit more in a way of, I mean, we already don't vacation, so it's kind of like
we don't live like people
who have kids.
we just don't live like people who have extra spending money or people who are in our situation. We don't live how we could potentially live.
Yeah.
Like, we spend our time trying to make extra money or start businesses or figure out what we want to do in life.
That's true.
We don't spend our time going out and vacationing or honestly experiencing very much. It's just not something that we do because that's just our mindset. That's how our brains work.
Yeah.
When we're out doing things that should be fun and we should be like experiencing, we're worried about the things that we could be doing or the things that we're not accomplishing by spending time elsewhere.
I almost feel like it's like detrimental to us because we're both like that.
Let's take both of those out of the equation.
Kids in the house?
Immediately, yes. Obviously.
Yeah.
I think those are things that we both want.
I think we have more of a timeline on kids than we do a house, only because I'm older than you.
Yeah.
Not like, obviously, not that I'm in a rush because I'm not, but like I'm 31, so I think 35 is considered geriatric pregnancy. So before then, ideally, I would like to have kids, but if we don't, I don't know. I mean, I thought we'd buy a house by now too, so
yeah.
I just feel like life happens and we can't like beat ourselves up for not necessarily doing it the way that we thought we would do it, because shit is, let's be real, just in the time that we have been together, the world has changed so much.
Yeah.
Like, we first moved in together the week we moved in together after being together for a year and a half, but it was our first time living together, first time I've ever lived with a man ever, besides like my brothers and dad, but and the week of everything shuts down for COVID.
Yeah.
That was a year, I think it was like a year and a half into our relationship. But then, like I said, we were just like getting acclimated to cohabitating, putting the dogs together. And like, we had brought the dogs together before it, to meet, to play or whatever. But it was like everybody like actually getting acclimated. The cat. Then we had COVID. Oh, did I already say COVID? I just said COVID. What was after COVID? We had, everything went skyrocket. Then we did the fire at work. Like, that really fucked us up. I feel like that fucked me up more than it fucked you up. It just made me so...
Oh, it fucked me up.
It just made me so depressed after. Like, I just felt like I couldn't catch up because we were closed for so long.
I had no money.
Yeah.
I pulled my 401k.
I remember. I closed mine too. Or mine was a Roth IRA. It was only $1,300, but still.
Yeah, a lot of crazy things have happened in the world, but unfortunately, we can't control any of that.
No, that's what I was saying, is that so much unexpected stuff has happened that we can't beat ourselves up for things not working out the way that we planned it, because the world isn't the way that we planned it to be at this time.
Right, but I mean, we don't know what the future holds.
No.
For anything happening in the world. All we can do is set goals and work to accomplish those goals and do the best we can.
Mm-hmm. That's the plan.
My thing is, if we decide that we don't want to buy a house, which that seems like it's
not that we don't want to, it's just going to be expensive if we do.
Well, no, it is. we could buy a house. We don't want to buy a house.
Yeah.
Because it would be a financial burden.
Yeah. It feels like it would be. I mean, maybe we're wrong, and maybe it wouldn't be as bad of a burden as we think it is, but
No, I'm like very confident that it would be significantly more expensive.
okay, see, that's all you had to say. I'm not okay, so for me, I don't feel like I want to own a house? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Do I want that house to make me broke? No. I also want to be able to I'm taking a week off for my sister coming to town.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't take time off. I'm just not that type of person. I work because I have a sick logic in my head that if I don't, I'm going to be broke, and then I don't know, going to have to pick what bill to pay like I fucking did when I was 18. Like, I don't ever want to live like that again. So I feel like I constantly have that
We have way too much money for you to feel
I
like
know that, sweetheart. Trust me, I know that. I know how much money we have. I know how much money I have. I don't really know how much money you have, but that's okay. I don't need to know how much money you have. I know that we have money, but I can't turn that off in my head. And if I took on more bills, I don't think I'd ever take a day off.
Well, that's unhealthy, because then you're never going to be able to accomplish anything you want to accomplish.
I am an anxious fucking crazy bird. Like, I don't know what to tell you. It's like I don't know, defense mechanism. I don't know. I just don't want to be that way again. Not that I'm not anywhere close to being where I was when I was 18, but the trauma of that shit makes me never want to experience it again.
Yeah, that's fair.
Emotional. Stressful.
Well, what goes through my head is we decide to not buy a house. That's where we're at right now.
Mm-hmm.
So we either re-sign the lease here, or we sign the lease for somewhere else. So we rent again. We find something that's comparable in price, comparable in size and accommodations.
Maybe we can find something a little bit less expensive. Probably not, but I'm optimistic.
Right. We find something comparable.
Yeah.
So we're in the same scenario that we're currently in right now.
Yeah.
What goes through my head is, number one, we still need to save for a house.
Right.
Number two, we need to build equity in some way. If we're not building equity in a home, then we need to be saving for retirement.
Okay, we have 401ks now.
Right, but that's not going to be enough to retire off of. Okay. Also, do you want to work where you're working for the next 40 years to be able to build that 401k
No,
up?
can't you take that somewhere else?
Yeah, you can take it wherever you want, but ultimately we need to save for retirement in other ways than just having our 401ks.
Okay, like what?
Like putting it in the S&P 500, or having a Roth IRA set up outside of a work thing.
Okay, I don't know anything about that.
I know, but it's stuff that we can go over and talk about, and we ultimately need to have those accounts.
Okay.
We can't just depend on the few hundred that we save every month at work to go into our 401k. That's not going to be enough.
True.
And also, do you plan on working a normal job for the rest of your life?
Probably not.
Because ideally, like for me, I just set up my 401k a month ago.
It adds up fast, though.
Right, but you set yours up a year and a half ago.
Mm.
Usually you contribute to a 401k for about 40 years before it's matured enough that you'll have enough for retirement. So you want to work until you're 70?
I'm not working until I'm 70.
Right, so that's why we need to contribute to retirement savings in other aspects as well. But there's a third option where we take some of the money that we have in our joint account and we contribute it to another venture, whether that's starting a business together, whether that's funding your business, whether that's starting something that I want to do. That's also something that is an option that we can do, because we have all this money sitting around and we either need to put it in an account where it's growing itself, or we use it to kickstart something.
Yeah, but we don't have any kickstart ideas.
I mean, you have your business going on.
Yeah.
If you don't throw any money at it, how do you expect it to grow?
I don't know how to do that.
Well, you run ad campaigns and maybe you hire somebody to run ad campaigns. You do the research that's necessary. You use the money to take more time off of work, and you supplement your income with what we have saved in order to pay the bills so that you can spend more time on those things.
I could throw up by you saying that right now. That just gave me
so
much anxiety.
The problem is if we keep going at the same pace that we're going, we're never going to accomplish anything.
I know.
It fucking sucks, but that is the hard truth of it. And I had this fantastical idea in my head for the last fucking decade that something was just going to come along and it was going to be the right fit and I was just going to figure it out. That's never going to fucking happen. Never, ever in a million fucking years is that going to happen. I don't know who fucking told me that when I was a fucking 17, 18-year-old, that something was just going to come along and just work out for me. But that's not fucking realistic. Fuck that like person, whoever told me that.
Yeah.
Because I've been fucking waiting for it. And it's not coming.
Yeah, I don't know.
I want to build a future where we have the freedom to actually do whatever the fuck we want.
Yeah, I would
to
like
have
that too.
Fuck you money and not have to worry about anything. Not have to worry about working enough hours at work in order to buy a home.
Cover my health insurance.
Yeah, I don't want to have to worry about that. So those are the things that run through my head when we figure out we don't want to buy a house. It's like, okay, well then we gotta if it's not struggling at work to pay a mortgage to build equity in that aspect, then we got to figure something else out. Because buying a home is a great way to build wealth by paying your bills and that money going into a mortgage, and then you have escrow, and then you can do things with that money eventually. But taking the other route and having less bills, having more money to play with, having more free time also has other aspects that are attractive to me. So that's why I wanted to have this conversation, because I know that we can accomplish things. We both work really hard. We're both intelligent enough to make something happen. And that's what I want for our future together. I want to build something that's worth something.
I mean, so do I. I guess we just got to figure out what that is.
The lease comes up, we move out, we find something comparable. We use the money that we have in savings to pay for rent. It brings our bills down to something that's very insignificant, that we don't need a whole lot of income for. And then we figure something out, either start a business of some sort, start our own ventures of some sort, and use the money that we are making to cash flow those ventures.
Yeah.
I mean, is that something that you would be interested in? Is that like scary for you to use the money that we have saved? Like, how does that make you feel?
I mean, obviously, spending any saving, moving my money from my savings account to my high yield whatever savings account, that stressed me out, and it's not like I went anywhere.
Right. Well, I'm not saying touch those accounts. I'm not saying touch those at all.
I know. I'm leaving that in there. I want it to build. I want it to do its thing, whatever. I'm pretending that money doesn't exist. But that's the problem, is that in my head it doesn't exist now.
Yeah.
And that's not even actually being used, It's just sitting there to build.
Right.
That's what it's supposed to be doing. But I'm saying, in my brain, this delusional noggin that I live in, it's gone to me, because I don't see it in my when I go look into my account and I see my savings and I see my checkings, it's not there.
So are you saying that does scare you?
A little bit. It just makes me very nervous. Yeah.
Okay.
But I feel like everything makes me nervous just because I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know what would happen, how it's going to go. And I feel like that's kind of a part of growing up, is just taking chances, even though it makes you want to throw up.
Well, we're at a point in life where we kind of have to take a leap of faith if we want to make something happen, or we live by the consequences of our actions of buying a house, of having children, and not necessarily having all those same opportunities that we might have otherwise. That's why I feel like right now the pressure is kind of on.
Yeah,
That's
like
what makes me
breathe.
nervous is like trying to figure out how to build this future that I have envisioned in my head.
I agree with that.
And I'm just kind of spitballing the ideas that are running through my head of like, okay, well, how can we make it so that we have so much time that we have no excuse but to make something happen?
Yeah. I mean, the paying the rent for the year, doing that whole thing, that sounds like a good idea because that would give us the time to do what we need to do. We'd still work whatever we'd set our weekends or 3 days or whatever the hell we would do. But then you'd have the rest of that week to, like you said, get shit done and not have an excuse for it. I don't know. Definitely something to consider.
Well, this is the time to consider it.
I mean, I'm considering it, but
I'm not saying we have to like lock down a decision on what we're doing, but like
if we do that and I like jump into pursuing my crystals, I'm gonna have to order more crystals now because it's gonna take me weeks to get them. You know what I mean? So I want to have ample.
I think
now I'm stressed.
like obviously it's your venture and I want you to do it how you want to do it, but like in my head, I would think you would want to figure out the aspect of how to sell them first. Like how to make sure that they can move as fast as you want them to move.
Yes.
As fast as you're able to make them, you're able to sell them.
But that's the thing is that they take me a long time, so I want to have them to sell.
Right. I'm just saying like that's not going to be an overnight process. That's not going to be in a couple week process. You're not in the time that it takes you to get the crystals in, you're not going to have figured out how to sell them.
Right.
So I feel like that should be goal number one is like, okay, how do I get them to sell off of my website?
I've been trying to figure that out now. I've been trying to promote myself. I made an Instagram so I can start posting more. Started teaching myself how to do photography, which is like stressful for me because it's not like trying to learn other things when I'm on adventure is for whatever reason like so overwhelming to my brain because I'm still teaching myself how to crystal wrap. I'm still teaching myself how to do all these wire things and, you know, learning the different whatever they're called patterns and such. But oh my God, I just lost my thought. What was I talking about before I was talking about the crystals?
Trying to learn how to sell them.
Okay, so like for example, teaching myself how to do the website, very overwhelming for me. But I did it. It took me time, but I did it. And now I am trying to teach myself how to take pictures to better advertise myself. And I gotta be better about TikTok. I know that that's going to be a good way to like get myself out there, but the filming of when I'm doing things is just not in my brain. Like I'm just trying to get the wrapping done. You know what I mean? It's kind of like it's like very mentally stimulating for me to do the wire wrapping. So I'm not thinking about recording myself to do that. So I am trying to teach myself how to advertise myself better. I'm just not sure how like I want more of an audience than just the people that I know, which is why I made the Instagram, because I feel like posting it on my personal Instagram, like, yeah, I'll get likes from people that I do know, but I want to reach other people. I want to reach the crystal community. I want to reach Witch Talk and Witch Instagram and you know what I mean? You know, all those other people who like enjoy these type of things. I'm just struggling to figure out how to get it to them.
Yeah, that's the most difficult part about like advertising yourself on social media. And like I haven't figured that out. Like I could post every single day and not make a single sale like if I was trying to. Like I've essentially done that by trying to build up social medias and be consistent and post all the time. And I've had plenty of time to do it, especially that time where I was off of work and I was just cranking out videos. I can guarantee you that if the channel that I made that wasn't anime related and it was like selling a product of some sort, I probably wouldn't have made a single sale, even though I spent all that time doing it. So it's, in my head, it's almost like you have to get lucky somehow, or you have to be good at it. Like maybe I'm just not good at it. I don't know.
I don't know either.
So there's got to be something there's got to be another way to advertise yourself. It can't only be you posting pictures on Instagram and hoping that people will find it.
Right, but that's not all that I'm trying to do. I'm just trying, that's one of the things that I'm trying to do. And I'm also trying to do TikTok, but I can't seem to wrap my head around rapping or videotaping myself while I'm rapping, because it's just it's not what I'm thinking of what I'm doing, or when I'm doing it.
Yeah.
It's not, I mean, I guess it's another way of advertising, but I feel like there has to be other ways besides those.
Yeah.
I just haven't gotten that far yet. It's taking me so long to do every step of it because I'm teaching myself how to do the photography. I'm teaching myself how to do the website. I'm teaching myself how to do the Instagram. It's not like I know how to do all these things and I can just put the pieces together and make a successful business, because if I did, I would have already done that.
Yeah. I mean, there's no roadmap for starting a business.
Yes, I understand.
And it takes time. And I think more importantly, money.
Yeah.
You have to pay people to do things that you don't know how to do, or at least teach you the things that you don't know how to do.
So pay someone to teach me how to advertise?
Yeah. Or pay somebody to advertise for you.
Yeah. I would rather that. I'd rather not have to do it myself.
So my ultimate goal of having this conversation is to figure out what we want to do. So step 1, we're not buying a house. We have that figured out. Step 2, do we want to cut down our availability at work to try and figure something else out and then utilize what we have saved in order to start that? Is that something that you want to do, or is that something that you're too nervous to do?
I mean, it's something that I'm willing to do for sure. I just feel like we should figure out what we're doing before we do that, because realistically, if we take those shifts away, there's no guarantee we're getting them back.
Right. I agree with that. But are we going to figure something else out?
How soon are we trying to change our availability?
There's no defined date on it.
Well, yeah, I mean, as long as we plan it ahead, I'm down. I'm 100% down. I just want to have some time to save a little bit more money before we do that. I don't even really need to do that. I don't know. What do you want to do?
I think we have to put ourselves in a position where we feel like we have to do something, because otherwise,
I already feel like we have to do something.
I mean, at the rate we're going, we're not going to get anything done.
What do you mean?
I feel like we're just a little bit too comfortable with just doing the same day to day. At least for me, I don't you are doing your own thing, but all of the aspects of the things that I do outside of work are not progressing. They're just not.
Okay.
They're declining, if anything.
Okay.
So I feel like all the effort and the work that I put into things outside of work are not beneficial to me right now.
Okay, so let's change that.
Yeah, I just...
What do you want to stop? Is there anything that you want to stop? That you... I know you don't want to stop it, but is there anything that you feel like this causes me more stress than it does? I mean, I know that they're not financially fulfilling, but is there one that's more stressful than the other? Is there one that you feel like I could just do without this?
I mean, the podcast is the only thing that is stressful for me to do. Everything else is not really stressful.
Honey, you can stop the podcast whenever you want to stop the podcast.
Right. It's not that it's so much as stressful as that it takes the most, it's the most time consuming thing.
And I get that.
Do. But also it's the aspect of I will do something for 6 months to a year, and then I will stop doing it. And then I will start something else. And then I feel like I'm having this repetitive nature of not getting the results that I want in the amount of time that I want them to happen, and then just giving up on that thing.
But that's what trial and error is. Until you find what sticks, until you find what you want to do. How many hobbies have I, that if I were to do anything outside of hospitality, I would want to be my own boss. I would want to do something crafty. I would want to make things with my hands. You know that. but how many things have I bounced to? How many different things that I, obsess over and then I never picked up again? I tried and I tried and I tried and it failed. You know what I mean? Like that's what it is. It's trial and error. That's what you're supposed to be doing, baby. If you pick something and you keep doing it and you feel like it's failing, that's just beating a dead horse. Like going on to the next thing doesn't mean that you failed the last thing. It just means that you're on to something else that could be better for you. That's the way I look at it.
I don't know. That's just not the way that I especially with YouTube stuff, people say that you just have to keep going.
Okay. I don't know. You know the YouTube world better than me.
Well, clearly I fucking don't, because it's not fucking working out for me. And I know there are other things that I would like to make videos on. Like, I do think that there is an aspect of content creation that really does satisfy me. Like, making a video. Like, when I look back on videos that I've made, I look back on them very fondly. And I'm like, wow, that was, like, really good. I, like, enjoy being able to look back on that. And sometimes during the process, I'm not necessarily feeling that. But when I do make something that I'm proud of, something that I'm truly proud of, then there is an aspect of fulfillment in that. So maybe that is the route that I want to go. But as far as making money and being able to build something that's quote unquote worth something in a timely manner with the amount of money that we have, I don't know if that's the right route.
Yeah.
And obviously I wouldn't know unless I tried it.
Right.
So maybe it is stopping the podcast and trying to do something else with content. I'm just afraid, like, that in my head I'm going to fill that with the other things that I have going on and not try to start something that I have a passion in.
Well, I mean, I can be on your ass about it.
Yeah.
Tell you you're spending too much time doing X, Y, and Z and you need to be doing LMNOP.
Yeah, I guess I am just...
Maybe you need to, like, write a list of, like, in content creation, like a list of, like, what you would actually enjoy doing.
I've made that list.
Okay, well then start it. Start going through them. Seeing what you like.
Yeah, I know. I just need to... I just need to turn the camera on and just try to film the videos that I've almost completely written out on paper.
Sweetie, yeah, you should.
It's just not that easy.
I know.
And I don't know. I feel like I need to be forced to do it. Like, I'm at the point right now where, like, I'm just... All right, the camera keeps overheating, so we're going to make this short and sweet. I think in conclusion, we're going to take a little bit of a risk. We're going to spend some of the hard-earned money that we've saved and try to make something happen with our lives. And this could potentially be the last episode for the podcast. I'll have to give a little bit more thought to it and put a little bit more thought into maybe a different content creation avenue that I want to take. And maybe we'll come back to you guys when we are rich and successful. Maybe we'll be back next week. I'm not 100% sure yet. We'll have to think about it more. If you guys have been listening to the podcast, we appreciate you guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. I know there's not very many of you out there that listen all the way through or listen at all, but I do appreciate each and every one of you guys. So we will see you guys next time, whenever that is.